It's so important, Janice, to keep our brains learning and creating new neural pathways.
Yes.
So that's the part too that I probably will go back to Japanese and learn some more. And I encourage you with the Spanish.
Hello, welcome back to All My Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. Thank you for joining us. My guest today is Michele Smith. We're going to learn all about her. Well, I don't know how much time we got. We're going to learn
All about
all about
no pressure.
no pressure at all. Yeah, I'm a low pressure girl here. So we're just going to have fun and have a good discussion. Our discussions always go places. So
Okay.
welcome to the show, Michele.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it. I know we had to reschedule a few times,
Yes,
and
we
so this was well worth waiting for. So thank you.
absolutely. It's going to be a blast. Well, tell our audience where you are coming to us from.
I am in, I'm going to say Northern California, and I have to pause now because I had someone when I said Northern California, I'm in Sacramento area, and they go, "Well, Sacramento's not Northern California." And I'm like, so let me just qualify that. If you were to look at the state and cut the state in half, I'm in the northern part of the state. Okay.
That's good. That's
So for
good.
those people not thinking that Sacramento's Northern California, I'm just going to tell you that's where I got my definition.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense, really. Yeah, because it's a very long state.
It is a long state.
And so you got to qualify it somehow. Okay, so maybe I'm in the top one third, one half, whatever. So
Top 50%, yeah. But if you cut it in quarters, no, I'm not in northern, but I'm cutting it in half.
okay,
And that's how I measure it. Yes.
we'll roll with that. So we're
Yeah,
in
okay.
the same time zone as Oregon, where I am.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about. I will get into what you do. Uh,
Yeah,
Absolutely. But I'd like to explore your early life, such as did you grow up in California?
I did. So exploring early life. Yeah. So I grew up in Sacramento, the area that I'm in, probably 15 miles from where I live now.
Wow.
And but I didn't stay here. So I grew up here, went to a local high school. My best friend, she and I have been friends. It's been 40 some years now.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. She's never left and moved anywhere else, but I at least, so I lived in Southern California for a while. I lived in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a while. I lived in Japan for 4 years when I was growing up.
Nice.
And we always came back here. And
Interesting.
so, yeah, it's home, and I ventured off into different areas and then always came back.
I have to ask, what took you to Japan? You said you were growing up, but
Yeah,
was your dad military?
he was in the Air Force. Yeah. So it was funny because he was in a part of the Air Force that there were limited, it was top secret, and there were limited bases that he could go to. So he had to do some overseas tour in order to move up.
Uh,
And so it was either Philippines, he could go to and Florida's not overseas, but he could go to the Philippines for 2 years without the family, right? Because he didn't want to bring us because it wasn't safe at the time. This was back in the 70s.
okay.
Or we could go to Japan for 4 years with the family. And so that's what we did. So I was 10 years old when we went to Japan.
That's really cool. Do you have
Yeah.
any fun stories about that? Because that was a major transition from.
It was huge. And yeah, what's funny is from a child's perspective, I was 10.
Mhm.
And I imagined it would be so different. Like I don't know, like maybe rickshaws in the streets and all this stuff, right? And I got over there, and what struck me, because we had a really tight-knit family, like my grandparents and cousins, and we were all really close. Only they didn't all come with us.
Oh, okay.
So, clearly it was just me and my sister and my mom and my dad. And so, but it was pretty traumatic for a 10-year-old. It was huge change.
Hmm.
And I got there, and Japanese people are awesome, very respectful, great place to be, awesome place to be and grow up during that period of time. I have a dear friend, Kenji, who is now a Buddhist priest. He just turned 80. He was in his late 20s when I met him. And he was a family friend. And so we would go on trips on the weekends and stuff. And Kenji was always there. And we vacation one time with his parents. So just a lot of cool stories. But when I got over there, there weren't rickshaws in the streets, like the little buggies with there were cars and there were trucks and there were
Mm,
people and there were streets and there were houses. And at one point, I remember thinking, why did we go through all this change and upheaval and families not around anymore to come to a place that's like our place?
mm,
This is a child's perspective,
yeah.
right? Because it was hard
Mhm.
during that time, but Japan was awesome. I mean, I look back and 10 to 14 are very informative years of growing up. And I got highly influenced by the Japanese culture, and they have a strong respect for people. They take time for people, and it was a cool place to be.
Oh, that is great. That's had to be very interesting. We moved a lot, but we were always in North Carolina, so not a lot of culture shock there. Not really. Um, but that is really interesting. So did you had to go to school there for 4 years, I take it.
Yeah,
Uh,
on base.
oh, so it wasn't in a Japanese school.
No, we lived, it was funny. They had what they were called patty houses, okay? Because rice patties, and so the Americans call them patty houses. They were off base. They're just off base houses that Japanese built. So the first year there, we lived in a patty house, like an off base house. And then we came on base and lived. And so the schools in places like that are actually on base. And
Okay.
so I went to middle school, did go to high school, but went to middle school to junior high um, in these American schools in the Japanese culture. So I did take Japanese language in one of my classes.
I
I
bet
have
that's
a
hard.
book somewhere. I have a notebook with the symbols and stuff that I did. I might have been sixth grade, fifth or sixth grade. So
Wow.
don't have any high hopes for me. I mean, I can ask you, namae wa nan desu ka, which is what's your name? I
Mm,
can say ichi ni san shi go roku shichi hachi kyuju, which is counting to 10 in Japanese. And other things that, I can understand.
hmm.
But just like with any language, we may understand and be able to track with certain words, but we can't form those words ourselves to form sentences.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I keep telling myself I want to get better at it because I have Zoom calls with Kenji and
Oh,
his wife, Yoshiko, once a month so that we stay connected. I've been back twice as an adult,
oh, great.
and they've been over here twice. And so, if it wasn't for them and their ability to speak English, we would be staring at each other in the monitor.
Oh,
And so I keep thinking I need to work on that.
that would be fun. I took Spanish several years in high school, and I thought, well, I want to pick it back up again and get more fluent. And
Yeah.
not for any reason other than just to be bilingual, but I have a client who teaches Spanish in schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I said, well, you want to trade some services? She goes, yeah. So I might pick it back up.
Yeah.
The brain,
Duolingo.
remember, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, my father told me when I was growing up, he said, and I'll explain this in a minute. You remember every license plate that you ever saw. It's in there, right? So here's his reason for saying that. He used to play memory games with us all the time. My dad was super intelligent. And so his point was this, is the information is there. It's just a matter of retrieving it.
Yeah.
And so to your point, you have that stuff in there. It's like I lived in Japan for those 4 years. I came back. It was the second half of eighth grade,
Hmm.
which is a really hard thing to do. So I came back from Japan to after Christmas break of eighth grade.
Mm,
So it was super hard transition period. The
yeah.
kids are cruel. I mean, they called me Buddha. I looked me, but I had lived in Japan for 4 years. So
Hmm.
well, they weren't nice. And then I went to high school and in high school, so I graduated high school in 3 years.
Hmm.
Mainly because I was just didn't want to be there.
Get me
There
out.
was, yeah, and there was a program that you could do accelerated learning. And so I took 10 classes a semester and graduated the end of junior year. But in that period, I took French. So I took 3 years of French, and French was the only class that I took in the normal school curriculum. So I had that every morning. So I know what it's like. I went from Japanese, which is not Latin based, to
Mm-mm.
3 years of French. And so the thing I pull away from French is le crayon est sur la table, right? The pencil is on the table. I can also count to 10. So I can't get very far in any of these languages. And then I started Duolingo with Spanish.
Oh,
And so that layers on, at least there's some similarities, but it's so important, Janice, to keep our brains learning and creating new neural pathways.
yes.
So that's the part too that I probably will go back to Japanese and learn some more. And I encourage you with the Spanish.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I would think the hardest thing to learn in Japanese would be the symbols and learning to read it and write it because like you said, it's not Latin based. And
Mm-mm.
if you're talking Italian, Spanish, French, there are some overlaps and some similarities, but boy, you get into those symbols and yeah,
The
good.
characters, it's funny because, and not that you want to go deep on this and then I'll shut up. There's hiragana, which is one language, katakana, which is another one, and kanji.
Oh,
So that's the Japanese one with like, I mean, the Chinese with over like 3,000 syllables.
wow.
So you have all these different kinds of language, and
Mm,
then different things can read from left to right or right to left. So, yeah. Just a few challenges, but it was fun. Awesome people. Awesome, awesome, awesome people.
great life experience there. So, in all of that, since the name of the show is Courage, Confidence, and Connections, I'm curious where in your young life, courage, you had to muster up courage whether you knew what it was or not. Did you have any experiences where you felt that you weren't courageous, but when you look back, you actually were?
It's interesting. I don't know that I labeled it I wasn't. I don't know that I realized what it was,
Mm,
and it's probably the same thing.
yeah.
It took courage for me to continue to go to middle school
Mm,
with the teasing and all that stuff, right? Because those were early forms of bullying, if you will.
hmm.
And I had something like that happen in Japan too. There was this just mean girl, and I've come to learn that there are just people in this world that are just not happy,
Yeah.
and they're projecting it on everyone else. And Pat Selma, I think was her name. And mind you, this is probably fifth grade or sixth grade. So I was probably fifth grade because we were still off base housing. So I was newer. And she had her and her group of friends, and I remember her following me, just trying to pick a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept walking, and I walked toward the principal's office. And so when I got to the principal's office at the door at the building, they dropped off,
Hmm.
right? Well, I didn't go in the principal's office. I went home. I
Oh.
walked home. We had an off base, house and stuff, and I walked home. And the next day I came to school and she started giving me grief about you went and you told and whatever the stuff was, right? I mean, I was fifth grade. And I said, really? Did you get in trouble? She kind of sat back and I said, did they come get you? Did you get in trouble and get called to the principal's office? No. I said, then stop harassing me because I didn't go anywhere. And she backed off for whatever reason, right?
Wow.
But I think it's situations like that, and kids are exposed to it all the time. It's like, make a stand. It doesn't mean that you have to go tell on somebody, but a lot of times these bullies and people that say things and mean things do it because they're miserable.
Hmm.
And they do it to try and get a reaction out of us.
Yes.
And if we can hold it and not do the reaction that it's like they hook us and just keep pulling us in,
Right.
we're better for it. So I don't know if it's courage, but it was something to where stop because I'm not one to play those games.
Yeah, well, that's good at that age too, because we are vulnerable. And I remember getting bullied in the ninth grade because we
Mm,
moved. I went to one school from till I, well, let's see, I went to five different schools. So One school.
Wow.
Yeah.
In high school?
No, high school, it was really wonderful. I got to go to the same school.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
Okay.
but in the ninth grade, we had just moved to this place where my dad was sent, and he was he was a preacher, but he might as well have been military for all the movings. But yeah, I got picked on because I was a preacher's kid. So yeah, but I don't remember doing anything but just walking away, and I don't remember if I was taught that or what. But they tried to put me in a corner, and somehow I just kept going.
Good for you.
Yeah, but so it's just horrible for kids and kids to be taunted or because of, and we're dealing with it in this society these days,
Hmm.
the way people are treated. So, and my mom and dad raised me. I never saw color, never saw color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't the way that they believed and the way they lived, and it didn't have anything to do with the church. It was just who they were, and
Yeah.
and so very thankful for that.
Hmm. My folks too, by the way.
That's good.
Um, and I have to wonder because I think it's something that you said that I am curious about with parents is when we have children, we have a responsibility of raising them, right? To be good humans.
Yes.
And part of that is while we don't need to helicopter parent per se,
Mm.
we do need to trust and verify about what's going on and what's
Mm.
happening and what they're involved in.
True.
We as parents, we're not meant to be our child's best friend. And it's one of those things I look back, and my daughter and I, she's 41 now, and so we're super close. But we went through times that, she didn't appreciate the oversight that, I had as the mom.
Yeah.
And tough.
Yeah.
So, and I think that one of the bigger mistakes that we can make, and where maybe some of this bullying stuff gets so out of control that because it's not monitored, it's not caught, kids aren't necessarily held accountable.
Right.
Because I don't believe for a minute that the parents of the kids that are doing the bullying would condone the bullying.
Right.
I just don't think they're aware that this stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And kids need guidance and direction. And it's one of those things that when they're babies, they want to be swaddled, right? And it's the same thing as adults now. I teach clients havening, right? Where you can talk yourself down from fear with, stroking your arms and, I'm loved and I'm safe and everything's fine. Well, it's the same thing with kids that need oversight from swaddling as a baby to they're looking for where those boundaries exist because that's the indicator of, oh, someone cares about me and I'm loved. So as a parent, don't think that because you give your kids rules and you're checking in and you're making stuff's okay, is that it's going to be harmful for them. No, it's actually beneficial.
Mhm.
They need to know where the lines are, that we as adults, we're going to check in and make sure, are you following the rules? It doesn't mean we're holding their hand the whole way through, but I think it's just so important.
It really is. I've kind of gotten into watching some true crime stuff lately, and what what stands out very clearly is that the perpetrators have had bad lives at home
Hmm.
90% of the time. But the kids that get, and when the kids get taken, not just the adults, but the kids, the parents are trying to keep track of them, but it's hard for them,
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
And I was, I mean, my dad probably didn't use the best form of discipline, but I was disciplined and it didn't
Uh-huh.
kill me. I lived, and I'm glad. I mean, I have to tell you a funny story. I think I've told this one on a podcast before, but it's pretty funny because my dad was a preacher, of course, and I was expected to be at church regardless. You don't skip church or Sunday school. So this one Sunday, I had a friend that lived right next door to the church, and the house that we lived in, I think it was like across the street. So after Sunday school, I go in, ask mom if I can go home after Sunday school and play Barbie dolls. I loved Barbie dolls, gotta tell you.
So
And
did I.
so I wanted to play with my friend, and mom said no. And so what do? I pulled the switcheroo and went to see dad. Not telling him I'd asked my mom.
No.
No, never. So I asked Dad, he goes, no, you have to be at church. Okay. Then smart me. Well, I need to go to the bathroom. I scooted out the back door and went to my friends. My- yeah,
You are
my
not very bright.
it was so they didn't come
And
find
you
me.
got caught, I assume.
Well, when let's put it that way, when I walked, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Church was over, mind you, at 12. And I'm sure I had lunch with my friend and played. And so I remember walking in the house at 3 o'clock and my dad was sitting by the front door.
Yeah.
Well, he caught me when I walked in the door and he used to call it the merry-go-round when you got the paddling. So, you know, I never did that again, but that was a very clear memory that, yep, they were looking after me. They knew where I was. They weren't worried,
Mhm.
but they definitely let me know that I broke a rule and they had very specifically said no. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, bye. So, so it's
How old were you?
um I think I was 7 because I was in the second grade, third grade.
Oh my God.
Oh, I know. I was smarty pants. I was
You're like, yeah, no, you're not telling me what I want to hear, so I'm just gonna go do my own thing.
independent. Well, I have to hold my dad responsible for showing me independence and my mom too, because
Yeah.
they were both very independent people. And so I got that trait double time.
As much as I say about parents and, oversight and everything else like that, when I grew up, it was different. We didn't have social media. So, it wasn't like when I was out of earshot or away from whatever that I could be doing something else or whatever it was. We had to be home. And I was talking to somebody the other day about this when the street lights came on.
Mm.
That's when we had to be home. So we were out running with the neighbors. The neighbors next to us were the Smiths. They had 6 kids in their family. The mole six across the street had 6 kids in their family. So we had this neighborhood of children and everybody was around. The mole six had a built-in pool. We had a above ground in our, and so everybody was just over at everyone's house all the time and bikes up and down sidewalks and everything else. And I
Hmm.
mean, it was a busy street. I mean, not crazy busy, but a neighborhood street that people would up and down, but nobody ever worried. We were taught look both ways before you cross the street, all the stuff, and we're just off and running.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's true. And there is I didn't have kids, but I was a kid. So I
Still
can
qualifies you to
I
have this
qualify
conversation.
absolutely. And I had 3 siblings. And so the first one was a little bit older, but the next two were 5 years younger, 5 and 6 years younger. So they were
Oh,
a different generation from us. And I remember my sister was they were treated differently too. We got my older brother and I got most of the discipline. The
uh-huh.
the younger two were more rebellious in their later years, and my sister was still throwing temper tantrums at 4 years.
Well, she
So
was the baby, right? Was she
mm,
the youngest? Yeah.
yeah, yep. So Tim, I remember my boyfriend from high school at the time said she can still get away with that at 4. I'm like, I said, yeah, I guess so.
That's funny. I love it.
Well, what in your young life contributed? We know you're a coach and we're going to go into that, but what in your younger life really prepared you to do what you're doing today? Can you think of something
What in my young life prepared me?
or maybe put an inspiration
Well, I think it's so funny is I had I don't know, it's the young life thing that's throwing me, Janice. I when I because I it was so it's so me, my career, nothing was really ever planned and intentional. I just would get curious about different things. It's like
oh,
high school. Like when I was in high school, I was bored. I wanted to start working. I wanted to get out in the workforce. I wanted to go do stuff. Did not want to go to college at the time,
mhm.
because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to go just mark time on a calendar. And so it was like I was always scanning for the like what's next, where are the opportunities, what's going on. And there was a program that I ran across junior year that was around work at your own pace. It was Pat and Nola Sue at Maryland High School had set this thing up. And so they basically had college scheduling that you could do. And like I said, the only class that didn't have that was French 3. So I had classes like on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Monday and a Wednesday and Friday was what, and so I literally could load up with 10 classes a semester and then graduate a year early. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I remember it was like 4 weeks left before graduation, and I'm sitting in French class, and there's handouts, flyers, because you didn't have cell phones then. You didn't have phones. I mean, you had the rotary at home. We were the first family on our block to get a color TV.
Yep.
So yeah. So I remember being in French class, and there was this handout from Pacific Bell that they were going to be doing this 4 week, 6 week training, whenever it was, to be an operator, either a 411 operator, which was an information operator that they had back in the day. Of course, you don't do that now, or a long distance operator to help you make calls, collect calls, calls that you charge that you pay with a credit card or that you try, I mean, all that. And this is when they had cordboard, like Lily Tomlin
Yeah.
had cord. Yes.
Hmm.
And so I saw this and I went, this is great. I'll sign up for this training. It was free training and you weren't guaranteed a job, but you had the opportunity to get interviewed and possibly get picked up. So I went through that, went long distance operator training and got picked up.
Oh,
So it was just this stuff that there was no plan. There was just, I want to go experience and work and see what's out there. And I had other jobs during my junior year too. I worked at McDonald's, I worked at J.C. Penney's. J.C. Penney's is not a great place to work if you're a woman who likes clothing. Okay.
I worked at one of those stores.
Yeah. Your whole paycheck goes to because
Bye
I'll be
bye.
working and then on break I'm right there where the stuff is. I don't have to
Shopping.
travel. I don't have to travel anywhere to shop. And I would put stuff on hold and then
Yep.
I would done with my shift, I go try it on and I'm like, I didn't have a paycheck. So thank God I didn't have like a mortgage to pay or rent or anything like that. But I always went through and paid attention to what I enjoyed doing. And that's kind of the skill set with the kids. I loved problem solving. I loved helping people. Not necessarily getting in front of people and talking to people. But I'll tell you one thing, Genesis, I'm saying this, and I've shared this story before in another venue, is that I get up and I do leadership development workshops. And so I couldn't do what I do now if I hadn't done what I did then.
Hmm.
And here's what I say that is that I went through it's an 8-day emotional intelligence boot camp. And one of the things I walked away with was this: face your fears, like that scares the crap out of me, and then do it anyway, right? Acknowledge it and then go and say, okay, this is a thing I need to accomplish. Public speaking scared the daylights out of me. I mean, to where my legs would shake and I didn't know if they were going to hold me up. And I finally went to college, okay, and it was University of Phoenix. I was working full time. I graduated college with my undergrad the same year my daughter, who's 41, graduated high school,
Oh,
okay, 2003. So I'm going through this program. It's the end of the program, and I see a notice on the bulletin board. And this is after I'd gone through that emotional intelligence boot camp. And it's looking for applicants for the speaker for the undergraduate class. And I looked at that thing, and my thought was this: what idiot would do that? So I had a 45-minute drive home from school every night, twice a week. I went in from 6 to 10 to school, and then you had homework and stuff. It was a whole nother life. So I'm driving home this 45-minute drive, and I'm like, where's that reaction coming from? Because I mean, it was strong. It was like, you must be a moron. That kind of
oh,
strength
wow, yeah.
behind it to want to do that.
Mm,
And I'm like, because I'm afraid of it. It
mm,
scares the crap out of me. So if it scares the crap out of me, why would someone volunteer to go pick me? Right? And I go, okay, face your fears and do it anyway. I need to apply.
mm.
So I applied, did what I did, topic. I don't think I had to write anything then. Anyway, I applied, and maybe I did have to write something. We did have a 7 to 10 minute speech. Okay.
Wow.
So that's a lot of words, and I speak in bullet points. Okay. When I write, rather, I speak in more words. So I did the application and I'm like, okay, I did it. And I was proud of myself because this is something that I thought people were nuts to even do. I'm like, okay, fine. And then several weeks later, I get the phone call. We'd like you to come in and you're one of the finalists to be able to share your speech with the panel that's deciding this. And I said, what? Well, we want you to come. And I said, okay, okay. Of course, a whole new set of fears swell up, right? And so I face it, I practice, I go in, I do it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Because there was scary.
Hmm.
And then several weeks go by and I get the phone call that says, you've been selected for the speaker of the undergraduate class. And I said, what? And she goes, you've been selected. And I said, but that's not why I applied. I really didn't want to be chosen. And she said, what? And I said, face your fear. I told her the whole face your fears and do it anyway thing. And I said, so I only did it because it's a fear of mine. She goes, Michelle, we really like your story
Oh.
and we want you to be the speaker. There's 1,000 people that go to graduation, Janice. 1,000. So I did it. I did it. I practiced. I don't remember anything but people laughing at certain points that were the right places that they were supposed to laugh at. But other than that, it was like a blur. It's almost like when you get married. I don't
Yeah,
remember who's at the wedding because it was just a blur, right?
right.
But it's one of those things, and I tell people, had I not done what I did then and faced my fears, I wouldn't be doing what I do now.
Yeah,
And so it's one of those things, and I guess you go back to courage, confidence, and connections. It's that we need to at least acknowledge and respect ourselves when we face these things that are scary, those oh crap moments, whatever they are,
right.
and then figure out how do we move through it,
Hmm.
right? Because we're building up experiences as we go along. And so, yeah, I think that's it. I think
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, I'm gonna spend some time thinking back about what prepared me, although I know a lot of it, prepared me to do what I do, but and I've been asked the question, aren't you nervous when you're getting interviewed or when you're interviewing someone? I'm like, no, it's like the most natural thing in the world for me.
Yeah.
And I've been having conversations my whole life, so I just get to, I,
Yeah, you're ready for it.
I'm ready for it. Anyway, I took Dale Carnegie, and one of the first things we had to do in the class was get up in front and sell a pen. Remember those days? Can
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I they really did that. Can you sell me this pen? And I was shaking. I'm sure I was shaking, but I had just started in sales not long before that, and I needed to kind of get my feet wet and understand what I was getting into, what I got
Yeah.
to. Yeah. So
How'd you do in sales?
oh, really good. I had
I had a feeling.
yeah, I had a lot of years, but it was because I'm very relational. I
Yes.
I was doing modestly, and then I read a book called Relationship Selling, and that clicked so quickly and so deeply that I think I tripled or quadrupled my sales pretty quickly because it helped me understand how I related. And
Yeah.
it worked really well. When you're coming from from the point of view doing what what you're built to do. That's
Mm-hmm.
what works. So speaking of what you're built to do and preparing yourself for that, let's talk about what
Did
you
you notice that segue, that smooth little merge that she did into?
so let's talk about what Michelle Smith does, even though I know our audience doesn't.
Yeah. You want me to talk about that?
Yes, yes.
I so my background is a mixed bag of tricks, is what I tell people. Because I when I went to college finally, I went with a major of IT.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I got my bachelor of science in IT. Yeah, people go, yeah. See, can you see the segue? IT executive coaching.
I
I
mean,
mean, they're so closely
yeah,
connected.
absolutely.
It's like a natural transition pathway. And it's so funny because I went into IT because when I was signing up And at the time I was in finance for a hospital.
Hmm.
I was in the grand jury. I got selected to be on the grand jury for this county that I lived in. And
Mm.
it's a year-long stint. And so when I was deciding to go from this, I had 7 classes, 21 units in traditional college at that point. And I thought, you know what, at this rate, I'm going to be 60 years old before I get my degree. So that's why I went to University of Phoenix because they're like 5-week classes, right?
Yeah.
And at the time I was 30. All right. So that's where, and so I'm on the grand jury and I asked the people on the grand jury that were with me, I said, what do you think? I can go like regular business or I could go IT or I can, and they said IT
Mm.
because they need people to translate between the end user and the geeky programmer.
Mm.
And I'm like, that makes sense. And my dad designed electronics and programmed computers. And I thought, yeah, okay. And that's why I signed up.
Mm. That's
I
interesting.
got it and loved Access databases and the programming and Access. And so I took off with that. And then when I got my master's, it was a health administration master's with a focus on clinical informatics. And this point, I'm in healthcare. I've been in healthcare for a while, and I'm doing leadership development. And I remember somebody, but I still loved analytics,
Mm.
love analytics and finance and all that stuff. I love the problem solving. I love measurement. And I remember one of the leaders when I told her I was going with, health administration with a focus on clinical informatics, and she goes, "Isn't that going to pigeonhole you?" I'm like, "My God, if I haven't been pigeonholed by now, I'm not gonna be."
That's funny.
So it was all this stuff of I enjoy problem solving, I enjoy helping people. I was a process improvement lean consultant with Sutter Health. I worked there for about 17 and a half years. And so I did that for a while. So finance director to lean consultant to senior lean consultant to manager of education and standards, which is where we did curriculum and development and all that stuff. And the whole time you're coaching as well, leaders in the organization to change behaviors. And then the director of the improvement system when COVID hit, part of the organization. So I had 16 direct reports, and the
Mm.
people on my team were in hospitals and outpatient clinics and stuff supporting leaders with improvement. And when I had the opportunity to leave Sutter Health in 2021, it was for me to go do what fills my cup up the most, which is the coaching and the development piece of it. Having direct reports, it's a form of development like people get when they have children and they're raising children and they do that. And I've had several different points in my career that I've had direct reports and people that report to me. And I was ready to be able to want to just support leaders to be the best leaders they can be to create better experiences for people on their teams.
Mm.
And so all that stuff prepared me. About 3.5 years ago, I went through and got certified in hypnotherapy. So that helps inform to where, you understand more of what's going on in subconscious
Mhm.
and, which just pretty much controls the show. So there's just it's this um conglomeration or this mixture or whatever of all these different things that now when I'm in the room with leaders, my personal coaching style is not typical coaching because I float between a coach, a mentor, and a consultant.
Mhm.
My goal is to make sure that every single session, people, it's value add for them. They're walking away with action steps. They're walking away with
Yeah.
unlock and things they can do. So I don't want someone to go, well, that's 45 minutes I can never get back. Um, so it's so rewarding.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you know this, Janice. It's just super rewarding to watch humans have so much better experience with life, and they didn't change anything around them. They changed how they're interpreting and filtering what's happening around them. And then they show up differently.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I've worked with teams and groups, and I use a different method. This is my show, but it's about you, not me.
Yeah.
So,
No, but it's both.
but it's really interesting to see when you're working with a group, especially to see the dynamics change right in front of you.
Hmm.
And I always get people to laugh. I've been told that I'm pretty funny.
You
And
are.
I was told that now you want to hear a story about high school. Now, one of my best friends and I've reconnected over Facebook, and they're back in North Carolina. But she said, "Do you remember the time when we had your brother drive us down to this store called Roses, which is no more, I guess." And
Yeah.
we would go in and we'd run around the clothes racks and laugh and giggle and carry on. There was this guy that was mentally ill, and he scared us. I mean, we were high school teenagers.
Yeah.
And so we would go in and we start giggling. And she said, and you would make me, she told me that I made her laugh because I was so funny. And
Yeah.
I was funny. She goes, "Oh gosh, you always made us laugh." And I'm like, well, I guess I'm still doing it, but I never thought of myself as funny. But but yeah, it's true. And I do have a lot of stories. I guess that's why I'm a blogger and a writer. So a
Yeah. Yeah.
lot of stories. Um, but it's great. And I love the fact that, because my background is not unlike yours, and it's a big old bag of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Okay, so how did you, and how, I'm like, look, it just happened. Life, I'd like to say life happened. And
Mhm.
and I didn't always make the best choices, but I did have a lot of experience that I can bring forward
Yeah.
to help people. And
Yeah.
that's what we do. We want to help people. We want to help them improve themselves. But boy, I talk about when you're doing personal development for somebody else, you're going through a heck of a lot more of it yourself. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I can't even begin to talk about the hours that I've had to put in just because I wanted to change some things that I needed personally to change. But in the long run, it helps everybody else.
Yeah. There's a relatability, Janice, to people. And I'm sure you're this way because I feel it from you, but it's like every room that I am in, it's a judgment-free zone, right? And a lot of it has to do too with the fact that we are all perfectly imperfect beings. And most likely, I've navigated through some form of what somebody else is doing, or I'm currently navigating through something.
Right.
I tell people I'm going to be learning and growing until I'm 6 feet under or an urn on someone's mantle. Because I don't want to stop. Because the minute we stop, we were talking earlier, the brain starts to atrophy. It's like I want to keep learning new things and challenging myself, and then bringing nuggets to people that I work with. It's like like quotes. I love quotes.
Yeah, I do too. I love when I'm working with someone and I have an idea and I share it and they go, "Oh, I didn't think of that." And so isn't that fun when somebody tells you,
Yeah.
"Oh, I hadn't thought of that." Well, that's because we're seeing it from the outside, and they're seeing it from the inside. The old forest can't see the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. When we're right like this, we
Mm-mm.
can't see our own mess. And when someone comes from the outside and gives us some wisdom, like, thank you, it really,
Yeah.
it does make a
Well,
difference.
and I think a lot of it too has to do with when we've heard the voice in the narrative for so long, we don't question its validity. We accept it as truth.
Hmm.
And then somebody else can come along and hold a mirror up. I had a client the other day that she was talking about, she was using the word just, like, well, we're just this, or we're not just that, and just. And it was this thing that she felt like she had to defend
Mm,
because it was that she was feeling like it was just this, and what, but we're so much more. We're not just this. And I asked her, I said, so who's using the word just?
mm,
And she looked at me and she said, me. She said, that's what I thought. Because we add this stuff in, because we give meaning to what's being said, and then all of a sudden it has this meaning that's not the meaning that was intended.
right.
Because no one else said, you're just fill in the blank. They said, you're this, which is your primary business.
Hmm.
But you added just, which made it had a completely different meaning that you felt you had to defend.
Yeah.
And so we do that all the time. And it's important that we have somebody else hold the mirror up to go, where did that come from?
Yeah, we're not, we do tend to shrink ourselves and act small to try to fit in. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's time at this time of life. It's like, no, I'm done with fitting in. I'm done with shrinking myself, and I want to help others just rise up and be, because we've all got a reason to be here. We've all got a reason for what we do and who we are and who we connect with.
Hmm.
Back to the connections. So let me ask you this: who are the people that might be in my audience that would be really? Who are your preferred clients? Your ideal client, kind of thing?
Um, the people that it's so funny. Who's your avatar?
I
Um,
I know.
yeah. So can I help everyone? Yes. Can you help everyone? Yes. The population of people that I tend to gravitate toward are the ones that I know that when the shift happens here, the roots and the legs that go out that are broader are people in leadership roles. So a lot of times director, executive director, and above. There's um, an ability for me to be able to have conversations with people and hold mirrors up, regardless of your title and the level of leadership. And so those are the people that I tend to work with the most. I'll
Mm,
say it that way.
okay. Well, that's good. And we all know people in different levels, and I think we do tend to elevate people. I guess that's part of our culture too. And I love that you've worked and lived in different cultures because you bring an element to what you do from a perspective that most of us couldn't possibly have. And having lived as a child in Japan and having
Mm.
moved a lot, and then all the different things that you've done, that they might sound like a bag of tools or something, but it makes something. So it's like one of those toys that kids do, the Legos. It's like
Oh yeah.
the
It
Legos may
used to be Lincoln Logs for us when I was a kid. It was Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs. I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now
Uh,
it's Legos. Yeah,
yeah,
you can build a lot more complex things.
I know. Boy, the things that they can do with those. But
Yes.
we all might look like a bag of Legos, but we make different things out of what we've done. So I don't know where that came from, but it was just
I
one.
don't know, but it's an interesting visual.
Yep, your Legos look different than mine.
I know. Mine are older. Older Legos.
Oh my goodness, Lincoln Logs. That's great. Yep, it's been a long time.
It has. I saw some the other day. It was like an outdoor place. Not the other day. It was freaking Christmas time. So four months ago. The other day, 4 months ago.
Oh yeah, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, yeah, 4 months. So yeah. So they still have them. They still have Lincoln Logs.
Oh wow. So as we wrap this up, I wanted to get you, I give all my guests a chance to just heart and soul. What do you want to say to our audience? What do you, and we talked a lot about emotional and motivational stuff anyway, but do you
Hmm.
have any final words to wrap up our talk here for our audience to take any final wisdom from you?
Yeah. Oh, final wisdom.
Whatever.
Here's what I'll say. There are so many, and I'm huge on quotes. So a couple, I'm just going to give some sound bites. Words matter, and the most important ones are the ones we say to ourselves. And so the reason I say that is because I'll elevate another quote that is thoughts become things.
Hmm.
And when we have these thoughts, negative, disparaging, whatever thoughts that we can have that don't feel energizing and move us forward, they have an impact.
Hmm.
Um, your body doesn't read them as like if you're joking or some people make disparaging comments about themselves. Your body and your mind read it as truth.
Hmm.
And so don't do that. So if you have thoughts, if you have comments about yourself that are not positive and reinforcing and motivating, throw them away. Find other things that you can say to yourself because those things matter. one of the things I do a lot of coaching with physicians and physician leaders.
Oh, wow.
And it's a population that really hasn't had a lot of coaching. And so one of the topics in that workforce is burnout.
Uh,
And so one of the things I'll comment to people, and I think it's important for everyone to pay attention to, is if you're using language like I'm burnout, I am overwhelmed, I am stressed out, those actually become your identity, set often enough with enough emotion. And then once it becomes your identity, then your brain does everything in its power to make sure that what you experience aligns with your identity.
mhm,
So when I say words matter, pay attention to those kind of words and then ask yourself, because those are highly charged words. What am I seeing? What's happening around me? What am I feeling that leads me to package it that way, to label it that way? And then work with the actual facts and evidence and observations and not the package.
mhm.
And then feel and pay attention to what happens in your body when you back away from that word. So that's the recommendation is that we have 100% responsibility and ability to control how we respond to what's going on in the world, especially now.
Yes.
Take that control back. Don't hand it over
Right.
and pay attention to the language that we're using to describe what's happening. And if
Mhm,
it's highly charged and doesn't make you feel great, drop it
mhm.
and find some other way. That would be my parting stuff.
Yeah, good words because there is a lot happening and we have social media in our face all the time, especially since
Mhm,
we're doing I have to keep going with business on social media, but I do and have trained myself just to keep scrolling, don't
mhm.
engage. Um, and I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news for probably over 10 years.
Yeah,
And
I don't either.
so I've told people, well, there could be an explosion and I could go, tumbling down into the Pacific Ocean and I wouldn't even know that it was coming. So somebody warned me. But I just don't find any value in it. And
Mm-mm.
I kiddingly say I get my news third hand. If it's something I got to know, somebody will tell me.
Well, that's what I tell people is like, because it's probably been 20 over 20 years since I stopped watching, and people go, "What? How do you know what's going on?" I can find out. I mean, if it's something that I really need to know, but I'll find out.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like I'm walking around going, "What?" I mean, it may be a little bit later than other people, but I like what me knowing early is going to make a difference on the outcome? No,
Yep.
no.
Yep. And I've said for years now, especially with some of the stuff I've been through, that I've got enough just trying to keep my own mindset positive with what's going on
Yeah,
in my life, let alone what's going on outside.
yeah.
So, yep, and everything is internal. We just have to acknowledge that and realize. And so, if you're dealing with stuff, audience, if you need a coach, well, we're both coaches, but she works with different clientele than I do. And if you can't reach her, you can tell me that, if you're an executive that happens to watch this and you need some help, someone in the field that she helps no, I'll nudge her. I'll get hold of her if you can't reach her. But we're both here for you. We're here to help improve the world around us so that
Mhm.
the world around us can improve the world around them.
Yeah. Thank you. This has been fun.
This has been great. Thank you so much for being my guest. Again, audience, Michele Smith with Better Possibilities. Did I get that right?
You did. Congratulations.
And all of her information will be available after the podcast. Wherever you're watching this, we'll have ways to contact her. So thank you for watching and look for another episode coming soon.